I tell y'all what's on my mind.
She shaking that on the floor. She
on
gonna
my
get
chest.
on the floor. She gonna get some more. Give me drop it, give me 50. Drop it, give me 50. Hurricane wise. Salute to those Texas and Louisiana legends, man. Hurricane Chris, Mike Jones, salute. Cause we gotta represent for that side. You know what I'm saying? Third coast. But let's get into it, man. Wise up is your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, your friend, but it can't be a son that's your kinfolk, William Jewell. Listen to my detail as I'm articulating. This is articulating rap. And we know about the matter at hand. We know about the diss tracks that was heard around the world. We know that Aubrey Drake Graham came out swinging, trying to throw a couple of jabs, trying to slip, roll, weave, and bob, because we know this will be a heavyweight fight. We know this is going to be a slugfest between him and Kendrick Lamar. And someone else has also entered the chat, right? And Rick Ross. It's getting a little bit messy, right? But it's entertaining. And why are we entertained by this drama? Why are we entertained by this mayhem, by this chaos, by two brothers dissing each other? Well, it's because of the competition in hip hop that exists, right? Because we all want to be the greatest in our crafts, right? But in this sport, there's a rule. Sometimes you can say what you need to say. Sometimes you can do what you need to do to make sure that the people don't have a second thought in their mind, right? And I can applaud Drake for standing up to bat, right? And let's just get into it. Let's just get into what he said, because kind of what he said was light. They said what he said was elementary. And then when we said it was elementary, they said Drake can't please none of y'all. So we know at the beginning of this battle, it's a battle also between fan bases. And until somebody does something undeniably great, until someone does something undeniably, I don't think we can call a win or loss. And we know that Drake is battle tested. We know he lost to Pusha T. He won against Meek Mill. And he's done subs and back and forths with other artists. But we know he's still standing. He's still strong like Antoine Fisher. He's on his 10 toes. So he called Kendrick a pipsqueak. Said, how you a big stepper with a size 7 shoe on? Told him to drop and give me 50% of his publishing. Right? He's talking about the splits, the 50-50 splits. Show me the splits. Right? And then when we talk about Future, he said he gave him his first hit, his first #1 song. Same thing he said about Rick Ross. Told him he's talking like 50 Cent. Right? Rapping how he living. Right? Cuffer like Ricky. How you in this beef and you about 50? But Drake, you're about 40. So does it really matter? 40, 50, you're still damn near too old to be beefing, too old to be going back and forth on music. But, you know, since the younger generation hasn't really came with it, we have to depend on our elder statesmen. We have to depend on our veterans. Right? He talked about Metro. Shut your whole ass up and make some drums. Right? Tried to swat him like a fly. Talked about The Weeknd. Said you're doing more for men than you're doing for women. But if it's bros before hoes, you tell me, what should that man do? Or are you calling him gay? Right? So he got his shots in. And it was clever. It was witty. It was on an up-tempo beat. Something that you could bob your head to. Something very Drake-ish. And I give him credit. They said it's 20 versus 1. I give him credit because he went at all of them on one song. So the main guy that he's supposed to be delivering the fist fight to, you know, lyrically, he didn't give him enough punches. because he was busy trying to punch everybody else. He was trying to duck everybody else's blows. But the only thing I didn't appreciate from this, and I wouldn't say the only thing, but when I look at this from my perspective or just from a different perspective, we got to talk about the leak, right? We got to talk about the leak because he leaked this song early on and it was questionable whether it was AI or not. We was wondering, we was pondering, we didn't know. But now we know the truth because Drake made it official. He even changed the beat a little bit, changed a little bit of the lyrics. He made a difference in the song when he officially dropped it, right? So we know he was trying to check the temperature. And I just feel like we kind of lose a little bit points when you're trying to check the temperature instead of creating the temperature. Are you hot or are you cold? Whatever you are, stay in that climate. All right, stop trying to check and see what clothes to put on before you go outside. Go in outside and what you feel comfortable in. So I feel like Drake lost a couple of points with that. Right? And him talking about the splits between Kendrick and Top Dog when we know he had splits with Baby. He had splits with Jay Prince. We know he was being extorted by the mob ties. I feel like that's the pot calling the kettle black. And you're talking about a man's size when you're getting your abs itched. You're talking about a man's size shoe. A man's a pipsqueak when you're getting lipo done. Like he can't help what size he was born. Right? But you're changing your whole body to be the image, right? And Meg Thee Stallion said some of these men got more scars than us women. And we know she was referring to Drake. So, I mean, that's my only complaint when it comes to Drake. Because he's just so hypocritical, right? And this was hypocritical. Kind of the same way J. Cole came at Kendrick. He said his second album put niggas to sleep. But J. Cole was known for being a born rapper. Pusha T also told you weren't getting all the proceeds. You weren't getting all the percentages off your music. And you go back right around and say the same thing about Kendrick. I think it's contradicting. I think it's hypocritical. And there are so many hypocrites. There is so much cap. Right, we could have a baseball team out here. There's so much capping going on in these diss songs. But you have to find the angle. You have to find the edge. And I don't blame you. I think that was a light jab. But when we could point the finger back at you, like the Spider-Man meme, as J. Cole said, then I don't think those disses hit as hard. I think they kind of fall short. So, in summary, he loses points for the leak fiasco, and then he loses points because it's just contradictory. It's hypocritical, you know. So I just feel like it's not 100% to me. So how can I give you 100 on that test when you didn't speak 100%? So I feel like we dropped this disc down a little bit to a B minus. Without the leak, without the hypocritical lyrics, then maybe it could have been an A. But he didn't drop no bombshell, and it was a light jab. So I feel like it was a low 80s, right? A low 80s. And when you drop that diss track, you mentioned Rose. You mentioned Rick Ross. You mentioned the biggest. All right. And we know about the Rick Ross brand. We know about how he acts on social media. We know how much he loves the opportunity, how he thrives off beef, how he thrives off controversy. We know he was waiting for this moment because he never said anything about Drake. Yes, he unfollowed him on social media. Yeah, he made a video on his story listening to Like That, but he never said anything directly to Drake. Right? But Drake pissed on himself when he mentioned Rick Ross because what we got was a Rick Ross diss. And we know about the Officer Ricky claims that everyone's going to put on Rick Ross. Right? 50 Cent tried to do it and didn't ruin him. Right? He went at Envy. He went at Turk. He don't mind getting nasty. He don't mind getting messy. D1, he went at a Christian rapper. He don't care. So, when you deal with Ross, you got to take the gloves off. And a lot of people ain't willing to take the gloves off. And I don't feel like Drake's brand, his image will allow him to take the gloves off and still get the marketing dollars that he wants. So I believe this was a false step for Drake in a sense. He could have did everything else without mentioning Rick Ross. Right? Because when Rick Ross replied, it was felt. There was some impact. It wasn't just an overwhelming bomb, but it was enough to clear the spot. And he talked about Drake in a way by calling him a white boy, by saying that he just wants to fit in with the crew, by continuing to shame him for his ghostwriting. Right? Talking about a nose job, talking about the cease and desist that he sent to French Montana when he was trying to drop that project Mac and Cheese 5. Give Weezy some more money. Give Rap-A-Lot Records some more money. He talked about the lipo and the BBL. He said, how you gonna have a six-pack with 25% body fat percentage? Right? He's pretty much saying that the attire that Drake wears on stage is a cover-up. So we know Rick Ross doesn't mind going there, low blowing. He don't mind playing these games. And to have that type of confidence, to have that type of feeling about yourself, it shows me that he doesn't have nothing to hide. There's nothing that he's scared of being exposed, right? Because if him being a correctional officer didn't ruin his career, then I don't think nothing can at this point. If 50 Cent, after he ended Ja Rule's career, and he couldn't end Rick Ross, I don't think nothing can at this point in his career. So Rick Ross is one of those solid vets. He's one of those staying in the games. He's here to stay. He's made a permanent mark on hip hop. And just the vigor, just the passion that he speaks when he raps, I just feel like it was more felt. It was more felt. And we talk about the body shaming. Why do you want to talk about a man's BBL? Why do you want to talk about a man's ab etching? Why do you want to talk about a man's nose job? Why? They said you're fat yourself. You were supposed to have the weight loss surgery, Rick Ross. Right? Drake even joked and said he's on Mounjaro. He's not eating. Right? I mean, we roasted each other as kids. We roasted fat boys. We roasted skinny dudes. We roasted light skins. Right? We roasted dark skins. That's a part of the game. That's just a part of the culture, playing dozens. You know what I'm saying? We traded shots and we laughing. That's all fun and games. And I feel like they having a lighthearted back and forth on social media. But we know one fell swoop and it can get ugly. And I believe what Simba did was ugly. I believe that was very clout chasey of him. Right, to mention J. Cole in the manner that he mentioned him. A man that bowed out gracefully. A man that wanted to protect his spirit. A spiritual man. A man that's aiming to be on a higher level, and reach different vibrations and frequency. I believe that the way that Simba talked about J. Cole in such disregard is inflammable. Right? It's very clout chasey. It's very opportunistic. And it's ugly. They said it's nasty work. It's disgusting. Because if you didn't have the balls to come at him when he was on his streak, right? And where's your record? Where's your album? Where's your music? Why are you a great rapper? Because Simba, he's not all that established to me. He's known. He has a little buzz, but he hasn't done nothing great in hip hop yet. And really, he hasn't done nothing good. He dropped the project, I think, last year. But that's kind of forgettable. So he really hasn't made a lane and carved out his own space in this community. So to go at someone like J. Cole and his stature, and just with the respect that he showed his peers, and to kind of disrespect that and take that light, I don't like it. And I'll never like it. Because if I put my hands up, don't shoot, don't send no bullets my way. If I put my hands behind my back, right, don't hit me. If I'm down on the ground, don't kick me. Just to make yourself seem tough, just to make yourself seem like you about that action. But you wasn't ready for war when I had my gun cocked and loaded. You wasn't ready for war. And I'm glad Kaz came and said something, because it needed to be said. And I'm sure JID will have something to say about it as well. I'm sure Earth Gang, I'm sure Boz will have something to say about it as well. I'm sure Loot will add their 2 cents in. But I want Kendrick to add something into the mix, into the fold. Right? Because we talking about one verse. We're talking about a couple of lines. We're talking about something that caused all this chaos, that caused all this mayhem. Right? We're talking about the like that verse. I'm really like that. Right? Okay, let's get it, bro. I mean, that energy, that passion, that enthusiasm when he got on the mic and said a couple of lines. And it stirred up all of this commotion. It made the people call out Drake for a response. It made the people pressure J. Cole into responding. And now we got a response from Ross. And now we got something that Simba said about J. Cole. And now hip hop is back exciting again. When they said it was falling off, now it's being back at the forefront. And you got one of the world's biggest pop stars at the front of it. And regardless if he wins or loses, just putting his attention to it gives hip hop a better chance at still being that number one genre, at maintaining its credibility. So, I mean, we're waiting for the response. But not only do I want a response track, I want an album. Because I feel like this is the road to riches. This is the road to put PG Lang at the forefront, to put PG Lang on that pedestal. Not keep it PG, right? Go rated R. But I believe the time is now, and it's been hinted that Kendrick is working with the creators of South Park to produce a film right now. So I believe we will get a track, but I don't know if we will get an actual project until this film production is over with, right? So, I mean, Kendrick, the ball is in your court. I believe in you. And we still don't trust you. Let's talk about that album. Right? That album was released this weekend. We got Future. We got Metro. We got features from The Weeknd. We got features from A$AP Rocky. We got features from Lil Baby. And this was melodic, right? This was more melody. This was more R&B. This was more vibey. And Metro Boomin, the master crafter, the maestro himself, the god of production, he did it again. See, not only was he able to go hip hop, not only was he able to go trap, but he was able to get into the sample bag, as he showed you on American Dream with 21 Savage. He was able to get into the sample bag with Beat It, right, with the Genuine. He was able to go there. Songs like Drink and Dance, Jealousy, This Sunday, Overload, right? Songs like Beat It, amazing. Like the interlude, oh my God. And it was getting into that dance rhythm at first, and I didn't know what type of album this would be. But as it carried on, I felt more at home. I felt more welcomed. And I believe that 21 Savage hit the mark with this one. I believe that 21 Savage did exactly what he needed to do. And I believe that Future hit the mark with this one. Right? I believe he did exactly what he needed to do. Although there were some notes. There were some notes that was a little bit questionable. But I don't think Future can actually sing without that auto tune. So when I listen to Boosie, when he sings and harmonizes, it's an acquired taste, right? And he doesn't use the auto tune like Future does or those other artists do, right? So sometimes when Future gets a little bit more high pitch, a little bit more squeaky, a little bit more screechy, I believe that taste is, acquired. It's like beer. Everybody doesn't like it. Some people love it, right? So other than that mishap or those highs and lows of, some of the notes being questionable or off or on, whenever he was able to stay in his baritone, his tenor voice, whenever he was able to stay deep, I feel like he maintained his greatness. He maintained his aesthetics from a vocal standpoint, and he just maintained the brand. That Future, turn off the lights, I'm looking for. Like, he just maintained that R&B Future style, and that's what we love him for. That's what we like him for. And Metro Boomin and The Weeknd, he got some shots in there, but The Weeknd, his biggest attribute to this album was the mixture of tones that he shared with Future. He has that soft, silky, smooth, high-pitched voice, and Future has that raspy, rusty, coarse voice. You know what I'm saying? But it gives you that soulful feeling. And just the combination of those, kind of like a Isaac Hayes and Michael Jackson, right? Kind of like a Justin Timberlake, and a DMX or somebody like that. I just feel like that combination, that yin and yang, was just so great chemistry. I think it was touching. It was, it made for great music, and only Metro was able to craft that. He knew that. And when we heard that from Heroes and Villains, when we heard that from the Spider-Man soundtrack, I believe he heard that too, and he knew that this would work, and he saw how it worked on We Don't Trust You, the first album. So I believe this was a great follow-up, and this second album might have a little bit longer shelf life than the first one, right? This second album might be more timeless. And we'll see, because I still like the first album. I still feel like the first album is album of the year, just because of the impact, just because of the energy. I went back and listened to it, and it sounded fresh. It aged well. Even it's just been a couple of weeks, I felt like it was brand new. And the energy, the enthusiasm, the excitement was there every time I listened to that track that I've already heard before. So We Don't Trust You, We Still Don't Trust You. I believe Metro and Future, they gave us some of the best bodies of work of this year, even though it's still early in the year. But they gave us what hip hop needed, right? They gave us the controversy. So regardless if Drake dissed them, Metro and Future won. They sold 250K on the first week. Metro and Future won. Like that has been a number one hit for almost 3 weeks. Metro and Future won. So regardless if they don't respond, regardless if Drake gets his shit off, right? Because he pretty much just gave him a little jab, a little slug. He's not going to engage with them wholeheartedly. I don't believe they need to either. And I believe if they keep subbing each other, it will make more excitement. It will create more interesting and intriguing takes from us hip-hop connoisseurs. So Metro and Future pretty much won the battle as far as, the success of We Don't Trust You and the double disc, right? They got a response from Drake. They got a verse from Kendrick. What more do you want? And they got a verse from Cole. What more do you want? Could they accomplish much more than they already set out to? And we can't forget about the Red Leather, J. Cole, right? I feel like Future was floating on it too. Like, I feel like it was a longer song. So, we didn't need Cole, but Cole was refreshing, right? Future gave his take on Red Leather, and I feel like Cole gave us another side, right? A side that wasn't street, a side that was, more sympathetic into the fast life, into, the handling of women in that arena. Cole gave us more of a softer side to relate to versus a more harsh and toxic side of Future. So I believe they bounced off each other very well. No, did he? But no, did he? Oh, yes, he did. This is William Jewell. Well, giving you my detail as I'm articulating. This is articulating. Rap, rap, rap.